Trust me. Yes, it takes hard work to get a 700, 750,
Mm-hmm.
800.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we get so caught up with trying to keep that score
Yeah,
that we're not trying to take advantage of what we have with that score.
that part.
If the people that frequent your channel, you tell them a lot what they can do with their credit score, right?
Absolutely.
If they have certain credit scores, you tell them a lot about it. Well, one thing that people like to overlook is,
Hey, what's going on, guys? Listen, this guy needs no introduction. Of course, I'm super excited that he carved out his schedule to come back to you guys with all the gems that he always has. But what I really like about this guy is that he speaks from a level of experience. So everything he talks about today is from his own personal experience with these credit cards as well. All right. But either way, we don't have a lot of his time. So I want to most definitely bring in Mr. Sledge. Sledge, can you hear us okay?
yes, sir, yes, sir. Happy to be here.
All right, all right. Mr. Do Your Research is in the building. All right.
For sure.
All right, awesome, awesome. All right, so listen, let's get right into it because a lot of times we get credit card questions or credit union questions or whatever the case may be. And of course, people hear my opinion on things, but I always like to bring in my credit card experts. Okay. But you mentioned something the other day, how you applied for 3 credit cards all in the same day.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What happened and what made you even want to do that?
Okay, first thing I want to say is I don't recommend anyone to do this. Right. That's the first thing that I want to say. I don't recommend anybody to do it. But anytime I apply for credit cards, it's a reason behind it and it's something specific behind. And it takes a little research when you're doing something like this. And to get down to the what Calvin asked, the reason that I did it is because I was trying to spread out some of the value that I get from certain cards, and I open cards and close cards. So sometimes I have to open new cards in order to replace some of the cards that I have closed. And the big card that I wanted was American Airlines card. And the reason that I wanted that card, I talked about this on Calvin's channel before,
Yeah.
is because the airport that is my home airport.
Real quick, if you haven't done so already, be sure to download our free ebook. You can actually scan this QR code or you can click the link in the description below. Now back to the video.
It has 2 airport lounges, a Delta Sky Club and an American Airlines Admiral Club. Well, I frequent airport lounges.
Mm.
I don't have access to the Admirals Club unless I pay to go in, which is $79 per trip per person. If I'm going with my wife and kids, that's
Yeah.
a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
Like that's a substantial amount of money when you're talking about arrival flights and departing flights.
Okay.
Right now, the annual fee of the American Airlines executive card is $550, which is that's a substantial amount of money.
Absolutely.
Now think about what I just said right before that. I'm paying $79.99 for 3 people every time I fly.
Anyway.
Right. Anyway, so by me paying this $550 for this card, if I got it when I applied, which I did, I would pay the $550, and that's to get into the lounges every time I go. You know what I mean? So that was the reason behind that card. I applied for a Chase Ink card, and the
Okay.
reason that I wanted that card because I don't have access to the Chase ecosystem as far as transfer partners. And if you don't know what transfer partners are, they're
Okay.
basically just partners of a credit card issuer where you can use the points there to go to different hotels or on different airlines and things like that. And I have a business outside of YouTube. So I wanted to use the Ink card for the purpose of that business, but unfortunately, I was declined for that card. It was a high chance I was going to be declined when I applied, and I knew
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
Chase had that 524 rule.
Yeah, that's right.
If you have more than 5 cards in 24 months, Chase will more than likely decline you for a card. But sometimes when they have elevated offers on cards,
Mhm.
they'll let you slide with the 524 rule because I beat it before. But this time they wasn't having it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. And I
All
have
right.
one more card I applied for.
What was that one?
I can't say that one yet because I haven't introduced it to my audience yet,
Okay,
and
okay.
I don't
The
want to
secret
slight them.
card.
Right,
That's fine.
exactly. I don't want to I don't want to slight. I usually put my videos out to my members first.
There you go.
and I don't want to slight my members, but I will say this here, and this is the first time it's been said. I was also approved for that card.
There you go. Okay, nice. Nice. Well, listen, guys, if you all want to find out what that card is, okay, and you know Sledge is going to tell you everything about it for sure. Make sure you guys, if you haven't done so already, check out his YouTube channel, subscribe today, and we'll most definitely find out about that. Now, Sledge, you mentioned too how you wouldn't recommend it for applying for 3 cards, you know, in a certain day. I've heard of credit card stacking, things of that sort. Why would you say that, you know, the average person shouldn't consider something like that?
Well, first thing is I will say most people probably don't have as thick credit profile as I have. I have
Yeah.
37 credit cards, and
Wow.
this is actually the most I've ever had.
Wow.
And if you don't have a thick credit file,
Yeah.
every hard inquiry hurts your credit significantly, and it can be significant.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a strong credit profile, every time you get a card, it's not going to hurt as much. You're going to get 1 or 2 points off, sometimes none.
Yeah.
Another thing is, like I say, I have to do my research on these cards.
That's
All
right.
3 of these cards were from different. One was from Experian.
Okay.
They pulled from Experian. One pulled from Equifax, and one pulled from TransUnion. So I knew I wouldn't get a hard inquiry on all 3 of them.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know, but that takes research.
That's right.
You know,
Right.
and I say anytime anybody applies for any card, they should know what credit bureau that they're going to pull from, so
That
you know
part.
that you're okay there. You know,
That's right. Huge.
yeah,
Okay.
it's huge.
Yeah, man. Okay, good. Good to know. That's most definitely good to know. Now, when we first did an interview together back then, we got a little bit of backlash. I won't say backlash, but it was just you were educating people on things that a lot of people didn't know, especially if they were with Navy Federal Credit Union. And you recently, of course, back then, for those of you all who haven't watched that video, it's still a great video to watch. And we talk about the differences between PenFed and Navy Federal, okay? And how PenFed may be a great option for people because Navy Federal is going to be making some changes here soon. So if you're not in already, you know, you may want to hurry up and try to get in. But anyway, you recently just talked about how the PenFed Pathfinder credit card is crushing the Navy Federal flagship. But why is that? And why did you mention that as well?
Okay, so the first thing I want to say, because I want to clarify this a little bit,
Yeah.
there was a little bit more to that title.
Yeah.
It crushes the Navy Federal flagship card for travel for most people. You know,
There you go.
as an overall card, the Navy Federal flagship card is hard to beat.
Yeah.
Right. But for travel, which are both of them are classified as travel cards,
Yeah.
you get more points per dollar with the PenFed Pathfinder card. And although it's only 1 point more, if you spend a substantial amount on your cards, that one point could actually be very substantial.
That's right.
You know. Also, with the PenFed Pathfinder card, you get a $100 statement credit for airline purchases every year. There's no annual fee card that offers that. Like not one. You know, and I know a lot of people might look at that card and say that it has a $95 annual fee, and it does. If you don't have a PenFed checking account, right?
That's the hack.
That's the hack. You can open up a checking account and put $1 in there.
Yeah.
But you got the checking account open, and by having that checking account open, it waives the annual fee on that card. That card gives you global entry and TSA pre-check. It gives you the $100 statement credit, and then it also gives you 4 points per dollar on all travel. And when I say travel, I mean all travel. I mean if you go through a toll, if you park somewhere, like it's all travel. So it's a hard card to beat for no annual fee.
Wow. And not to mention, you don't have to go through the extra steps that it takes to get into Navy Federal, right? That's one. And correct me if I'm wrong, but how much is it to get into PenFed now to get in?
Okay, so if you're not military, Department of Defense, you can pay $15 and get into PenFed.
Wow.
That's it. Like there's no other stipulations to it.
Yeah.
But Navy Federal is a little bit more strict because you have to be either military, former military,
Spouse,
you know,
right?
right,
Yeah,
household, close relative,
yeah.
or Department of Defense. There's no way around that. So
And listen, and they're most definitely, and because people have exploited Navy Federal to the max,
yeah,
okay, they
yeah,
gotta. This is why banks, credit unions, financial institutions in general have restrictions on certain products and on certain ways that they look. Because when you let everybody in, you got to deal with everybody. You
right.
know, yeah, that's huge, man. That's huge. So again, guys, yet another reason why you all have got to stop by, Sledge's channel. He breaks down these credit cards. So listen, he's not just getting these credit cards just to get approved for them.
No,
Okay. And even if he gets denied for a credit card, he lets you know that as well too, and say, hey, listen, this is why I think that this happened. But again, Mr. Research, if you guys want to see more of the content, make sure you guys go ahead and check out his channel today. All right. So now here's another thing as well too that you talked about. You was talking about how people could literally use their credit score to open up a business. You got to talk about that, man.
man, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of people get too caught up with admiring a credit score.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, if you trust me, yes, it takes hard work to get a 700, 750,
Mm-hmm.
800,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes we get so caught up with trying to keep that score
Yeah,
that we're not trying to take advantage of what we have with that score.
that part.
If the people that frequent your channel, you tell them a lot what they can do with their credit score, right?
Absolutely.
If they
Absolutely.
have certain credit scores, you tell them a lot about it. Well, one thing that people like to overlook is opening up a business, getting business funded.
Yeah. Mm.
If you have a 700 credit score, don't just stand there and look at it and pat yourself on the shoulder that, unless you're buying a house
Yep.
or something where you have to maintain that score for a while.
Yep.
And even when you get past that, take advantage of the credit score. You know, the credit score means nothing if you're
Mm.
not taking advantage of it.
Mm.
It's just a number if you're not taking advantage of it. But getting business lines of credit,
Mm.
getting business loans at low rates
Yeah.
because you have the credit score to get that is what I mean by you can open up a business. It's so easy to open businesses nowadays.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities, but I just think people get too caught up with admiring their score, trying to grow their score to an 850, and they're not doing anything with it. And you can have an 850 credit score for the longest, but if you're not doing anything with it, what does it actually mean?
Means nothing. Wasted.
It, you're sitting there wasting it where you could be making money off of it. You know what
That's
I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thousand
Yeah.
percent. And you know what? There are some business owners that are watching this right now. They have a business, they have great credit, and they don't know what to do with that business. Or some of you all are looking for an additional stream of income, and it could easily be a lot of things we're already doing as businesses, in a sense. If you drive for Uber, they don't have to pay you, the individual, they can be paying your business. You
Right.
know, if you like doing that, Amazon still works with business owners for deliveries and things of that sort. So there's a lot of different things that people can most definitely look into. But like you said, with their credit score, they're not maximizing it. Okay, so now Sledge, tell us this. Now you've have plenty of credit cards, 37 plus credit cards, and you've been on this credit card journey, learning about credit cards. You're with almost every bank, Chase Bank, PenFed, Navy Federal, American Express, Citibank. But people look at you based on who you are today. Take us back in time a little bit. And I know some people have heard the story on some of our lives, but I really love to hear that story because a lot of times people say, man, how can I get maybe X credit cards? Or how can I build a relationship with this particular bank? Or how can I get multiple credit cards with this particular bank? Take us back in time to when you said to yourself, okay, I'm at X score, but let me go ahead and rebuild my credit. And then let me go ahead and then start building these relationships with these banks. Tell us about that and how you did it.
Okay. The first thing I'm gonna say is like right now, I have 37 credit cards, and my credit scores range somewhere around 770, right?
Yeah.
In 2024.
Yeah.
In 2018,
Yeah.
I believe I had 2 credit cards. That's 6 years. That's a
Wow.
huge difference. I've had probably over 50 credit cards at this point. In
Yeah.
2018, I had 2,
Mm.
right?
Wow.
Before that, if there was a period of maybe 10 years where I had none because I had screwed up my credit so bad. Like
Yeah.
I had screwed up my credit so bad, just not being educated on how to, use credit, using the credit as if it was extra money,
Yeah.
getting credit cards like a lot of us do when we're young, running it up, and then once that interest start compounding on you, you
Mhm.
know, eventually, sometimes it gets overwhelming. And the
Yeah.
first thing that the easiest thing for us to do is just give up on it. You
Mm.
know, we give up on it, and that's what I did. My credit score, when I first checked my credit score,
Yeah.
the first credit score that I knew I was at like a 760.
Mm. Yeah.
My credit score went down to 442.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
442 because I ran up 2 credit cards. I ran up 2 credit cards from a company called HSBC, which is I believe Capital One purchased them, but
Yeah.
there I didn't pay them.
Yeah.
I didn't pay them. I had a Discover credit card, basically the
Yeah.
same thing, and some store credit cards that I don't recommend people to get today. So to make a long story short,
Yeah.
I didn't pay these cards. I had a Target card, which I will tell you a crazy story about. Target
Yeah.
actually sued me. Yeah,
Mm.
all I owed them was $1,500. They wanted that 1,500. you know, they wanted that 1,500, and what makes the story even worse
Yeah.
is I could have paid them. I mean, like I could have paid them. I just didn't
Yeah.
pay them. You
Right.
know, so when I got the summons to come to court, I physically paid their representation in the courtroom right there.
Wow.
Right. But
Yeah.
before I paid them, I got it in writing that they would take that off my credit report.
Mm.
I exchanged the money with them. The judge was okay with it because
Yeah.
they just want you to pay it.
That's all they want.
That's all they want.
Yeah.
Anybody coming in the courtroom, the judge will let you go to the side with that lawyer. You discuss what's gonna happen, and you can just take care of it at that moment. And if I had to make payment arrangement, they would have allowed that too, right?
Yeah.
I just wanted them out of my hair. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I just
Yeah.
want to. But the thing was that from that point, I was kind of afraid of credit cards after that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I knew what I had did, and although I knew I could have self control, I see what I had already happened. Maybe, like I say, 10 years later, I decided to apply for. Let me take. Okay,
Go ahead.
10 years later,
Yep.
I was about to say I applied for a Capital One card,
Okay.
but I did. That wasn't what I applied for first.
Okay.
I went right back to Target and I applied for the Target red card and they approved me. The
Wait, hold
same
up.
Target,
Right. That
yeah,
just that sued you.
the same Target that sued me.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. These banks are much more forgiving than people think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's TD Bank. For
Mhm.
anybody that don't know,
Yeah.
Target red card comes from TD Bank.
That's right.
So the same thing with Discover. Now
Mm.
they didn't sue me. It's
Yeah.
the same thing with Capital One.
Yeah.
I had those cards.
Yeah.
I have those cards now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I have cards from those issuers now because those
Multiple
banks are
cards.
right. They're more forgiving than people think.
That's right.
You know, they will give you a second chance, and if they see that you're because when they pull your credit, they see what's happening.
They do. Yeah.
They see what's happening. And Capital One and Discover, they're good for giving second chances.
They are huge.
Huge, huge. I think in 2018 when I kind of started this journey,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know I was into it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was just that I just got some credit cards.
Yeah.
I was ready to get credit cards again. I think my credit score at that time still was only like 5 something, you
Mm.
know. But at 5 something, I had a Discover card,
Yeah.
I had 2 Capital One cards, and I had that Target card and a Best Buy card, which unfortunately I let them close because I didn't use them.
Yeah.
But paying them, having the on time payments and building that credit history helped me, strengthen my credit profile and my credit report, which allowed me to get into other ecosystems such as American Express and
Right.
Chase and these credit unions. These credit unions are huge
Yeah.
because they're willing to work with you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're willing to work with you. Not only are they willing to work with you, sometimes they're willing to give you a higher credit limit than some of the bigger banks will allow you. But
Wow.
yeah, here I am today, man. Here I am today. Like I say, 770,
Yeah.
37 credit cards, and I'm almost touching almost $400,000 in credit.
That was gonna be my next question. So listen, guys, he went from literally having 2 credit cards, having his credit scores drop into the 400s, right? True story here, okay? And it didn't happen overnight,
No,
okay? And
no.
I think in today's time, a lot of people are trying to put their credit scores and their credit report into the microwave and put it in there for 20 seconds. And then they don't even want to hear the beep. They take it out when there's 1 second left. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And because we're in this society, but the problem is people don't understand. With time comes knowledge, right? With time comes education. With time comes, mistakes. But when you try to when it's sometimes when it's so fast, you can't tell anyone how to do it because it happens so fast for you, or you skip the steps, right? And it's like,
Right.
again, from that experience, you're able to say, listen, this is how I built this relationship with Navy Federal. This is how I built this relationship, with American Express. And it's crazy. I mean, listen, I know there's some cards you got your eyes on, but there's not many cards you just haven't had. Oh, and guys, we're not even talking about how many cards. By the way, how many cards have you closed, Sledge, in the last 6 years?
uh, I'll say 10 to 12.
Wow.
I'll say 10 to 12. Like, you know what? Like, if a card has no annual fee, I won't
Yeah.
close it. There's
Yeah.
no reason to close that card.
Yeah. It don't cost you nothing.
It don't cost you anything, and
Yeah.
you keep the credit history of the card, so
That's right.
it doesn't make sense to close them. But those little $95 annual fees and
Yeah.
$150 annual fee cards, if you outgrow those cards, you
Yeah.
can find better cards.
Yeah.
A lot of people are afraid to close cards. Don't be
Mm,
afraid to close. Don't let the card hold you hostage. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like, don't like the issuer or the card hold you hostage, and you
yeah.
paying $95 or $150 for eternity for a card that you
Yeah.
don't even use.
That's huge, man. That's huge. Well, listen, I know you literally stopped part of your day just to go ahead and say, you know what, let's go ahead and give some information to the people. But listen, guys, we don't ask for much, but we do want to make sure you guys go ahead, check out his channel. He talks about these cards all the time, what he's doing with these cards, his thoughts and opinions on these cards. But it's not just looking at some stuff, right? He is doing the research and speaking from a level of experience. So make sure you guys, if you all don't do anything in this video, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to his channel as well. All right. So, well, listen, Sledge, we ain't gonna hold you up too long, man. We know, listen, we greatly appreciate you taking out the time today. As well. Is there any last nuggets you want to leave before we get up out of here today? Any last words?
Listen, for anybody that's watching, and I tell this to everybody, do your own research. You
That's
know,
right.
you can listen to every single credit card YouTuber, every person on Instagram. Do your own research because
That's
a
right.
lot of the information out here is old, a lot of it
Mm,
is regurgitated, and a lot
mm,
of the information comes from people who have never experienced it themselves. So they don't know
yeah,
if the information is accurate or not. They're just saying
yeah.
it because they heard it from someone else. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
Yeah.
right. Wow,
Hey,
that's huge.
just do your own research.
Do your own research, and y'all know how we do it. We brought in Mr. Do Your Research. All right, so we greatly appreciate you being here, Sledge. Thanks again for stopping by, man.
Appreciate you.